give you a long version to say that I am open to their engagement.
Open to the idea.
Politics,
all right.
Because it seems to me tying their hands behind their back and expect them to be leaders. You can't be leaders without having opinion.
But must the opinion be partisan?
Certainly, opinions are either one way or the other. Between the three of us here, I can support Winston and not support you. And that takes a position. And if you bring it to the political arena, it's either Winston is A and you are B and I'm siding with A.
Right.
So there cannot be effective democracy if we continue to do this. But we must look at our constitution at some point.
Interesting. No, thanks for that. Mr. Jinapor, I wonder if you will break the mold and give us a one-word answer.
I didn't get your question.
Oh, the question is, could you possibly answer in one word whether or not you think chiefs should be allowed to engage in partisan politics?
The one word is no, because chiefs are revered. They are seen as final arbiters. They are seen as people with authority, if not everything, at least moral authority. And you would recall the roles some of our eminent chiefs have played, Asante Hine, the Yegwewura Nairi, and a whole lots of other chiefs. And so clearly, the Constitution is clear in Article 276. And the Constitution is the supreme law. This is the law the people of Ghana have adopted. And so if the Constitution bars chiefs from actively engaging in partisan politics, I think that they ought to respect it. It's the case that when you read some literature, and I was looking at some literature right from the colonial days through Nkrumah's era till date, chiefs, one way or the other, have found themselves within the political spectrum. I think that having learned from all that, we decided that our constitution should bar chiefs from actively engaging in partisan politics. And so from a legal point of view, from a moral point of view, and even from a spiritual point of view, I think that chiefs ought to desist from engaging in active partisan politics so that their authority cannot be questioned.
All right. So I mean, the positions are clear now. Mr. Ahiagba is open to the idea. Mr. Jinapor says a no. A very clear no. All right, so here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to hear the views of a few people on this matter. We'll hear Abdul Malik Kwekubakun, who spoke on this yesterday. We'll hear the Ochehene, who spoke about this in an interview with Winston some time ago. And then we'll hear the Asantehene, Otumfuo Setutu, who also spoke about this yesterday. And then we're going to get into the discussion for real here in the studio. Winston will give us a bit of background and then we'll get straight into the discussion. All right, so first Abdul Malik Kwekubakun, then the Ochehene, then the Asantehene. And Abdul Malik and the Asantehene spoke in local language, so we'll give a bit of a summarized translation afterwards. Here we go.
One start view. Endorsement here, endorsement there.
Yeah.
What's wrong with our chiefs?
I wonder.
They're into one new their constitution, it debars them from doing that. To be honest, across the political divide, it is so wrong. All of them, I mean, why endorsement needing well, they should get some wisdom to come to bear on one chief times. It is well defined. You can't do active party politics. If you endorse a presidential candidate, whether it's a sitting president or a former president or a parliamentarian or whatever, openly in the public space, there, me vote amount.
And then me more. We prefer.
Right, forgive us. I think we have a bit of a technical issue with that clip. Apologies for that. Let's see if we can't fix that problem quickly. Here we are. This is where we got to.
Constitutional. It did it some wise. It doesn't matter your status. In fact, the higher your status, on the quarantine or there, abide by what the Constitution says. Please, let's be bold and tell our chiefs this. They are wrong. No matter which chief.
That is unfair. I have a problem with that because I didn't get this by government. Government is not paying me. This is a family business. The people of Achim elected to do this. I'm not drawing any insurance or health care from central government. And if the job is in Accra and I want to apply, why should I give up my family stool? Unfair. Secondly, the active policy they're talking about, Western, if a party is campaigning and in their manifesto, they write, we are going to engage and encourage gay marriages. I sit here and a party has that in the manifesto. Or better yet, a party says that we will continue to give small-scale miners license to mine. You want to tell me because the Constitution says that I cannot engage in active policy, I would tell my fellows, my people, don't vote for this party. Because it's a disaster to have gay marriages. But in their constitution, they wanted to shut up, not say anything publicly. I can't call people privately and tell them that this is what they're going to do, so vote against them. I need to hold a debate. It depends. I mean, it's I don't understand. The ones about the civil servants, I do understand. They draw their paycheck from central government. So you cannot hold central government pay a job and take a pay and still try to apply for another job. We are not there. I buy my own petrol. I don't ask government to give me anything. So if I decide, or any of my chiefs decide that, well, I think I'll be better serve my people if I become an MP. You are saying he can't, but he has to give up what his family's property. I think that's unfair, but it's in the Constitution. Until we change that, we'll see.
Me just say any and yes and say Abba Fro Amayu Kune said the Yesibu men Bruniba any or so and so me just say Drew Baby, nay and see if you near their home and no come home. They are many penem who say politicians in any park and ye na mo me drew on there and anon ye baby a while. So, yes, you had the hook of Rafra there, never for Assam Naba. So, my home, yeah, I do get yeah, the go now, yeah, will be a Amayoque, Midim Subia, what you open, and so yes, will make you any more could be. So, will be Yamia Quasi and Cotuaba. And they who to me, name CSC Yama, you could know you and Makujina, we ate here now, we ate there. I'm gone and she said, no crime, may find her. I said that I walk without as I say, Chrome, Ubenya, you could, Ubenya, you could, we so many hours. So, woman, you answer, Nanano. Indeed, also, Jinan Pimpin, now the Oko said them one year to Pabano Cotuma. What will be a soup and you pay out to me. So, I'll say, now we yet the end is a buyer also near Nene Juma. Or no near Pimpun to Juma, ye Pencosoni Bibia, the Tuna Nemo. And the engine I was here who said the end Yampian Copra from Nanimunyam Emra in the Mayina.
So that was the Otumfuo wrapping up on those submissions on the issue.
Exactly. Otumfuo has talked about the fact that, look, chiefs should desist from engaging in active party politics. He says the framers of the Constitution, recognizing the importance of the chieftaincy institution, the fact that you stand for everybody in a community, and that is why you should not be seen endorsing a political party. You can vote. So when it's time for you to vote, you go out there and cast your vote. You do that secretly, nobody knows. but it is bad for you to go out there and be endorsing political parties. And so the chieftaincy institution, according to Otumfuo de Asantehene, should desist from doing that. And you heard from Kweku Baako also make the point that he thinks it's unwise for chiefs to go ahead and be endorsing chiefs, endorsing politicians. He doesn't understand. And, in his words, he says they have started their thing again, an indication that clearly there's like a cycle. Every 4 years, chiefs come out there to actually endorse political parties. It's unwise. The chiefs should apply a bit of, not do that. So that's Kweku Baako, and of course you heard from Ochene. But all of this is because on the campaign trail, we've had chiefs endorsing parties. We've had chiefs endorsing President Akufo-Addo. We have had chiefs endorsing President Mahama. And this has got a lot of Ghanaians asking the question, should chiefs be engage in partisan politics or active party politics? We've just read, the laws, that's Section 63 of Act 759 of 2008, that's the Chieftaincy Act, that says if you insult a chief, you can, you'll be fined 200 penalty units or go to jail for, 3 months. Meanwhile, the law that says if you insult a president, you face criminal prosecution has been taken out of our books.
Repealed, yes.
Repealed. And so the question many people are asking is, when chiefs are seen engaging in these kind of active party politics, would they want to be treated the same way that politicians are treated? Because if politicians are treated that way, it comes with no sanctions.
Right.
But if you, a chief, if you're treated that way, it would come with sanctions. If you summon me and I refuse to show up, it comes with sanctions. It's an offense.
Right.
So if that is the case, is the constitution or is the law not telling you that because of the sanctity, if I can put it, of your institution, the chieftaincy institution, because of the respect we have for the institution, that is why we say don't engage in politics, and that is why we say if anybody comes insulting you, the person would face this punishment.
Right. Okay. So Mr. Jinapor is on the line. I want to start with Mr. Jinapor, and then I'll come into the studio to Mr. Ahiagba. So, Mr. Jinapor, you've expressed your view on this thing about chieftaincy and active partisan politics. I'm assuming, and I'm happy for you to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that is generally the view of the NDC as well?
First of all, I would like us to do something, and I trust multimedia, so no, you can check that for us. I thought, if my memory serves me right, that the court struck out the provision in the Chieftaincy Act where chiefs had the power to summon people, and if you failed to respond to the summons, you were subjected to some fine. I would wish that we check that again.
Certainly.
From the records.
Since you raise it, we will double check. Yes, we'll double check that.
Number two, it's not an issue of the NDC's position or the MDP's position. It is the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law. If we think that chiefs should be actively involved in partisan politics, let's amend that portion of the Constitution. Because the Constitution is the supreme law. And once that is the supreme law, you cannot be seen to be violating that law.
Understood.
And so I think that we should elevate this discourse. Let us interrogate it properly. And I guess, who was on the line, please?
You mean who was just speaking?
Yes,
yes. That's Winston.
Yes, he made a very fantastic point. I agree with most of the points he raised, very succinct points, because like you said, the chiefs are respected. We revere them. And I have had occasion where when somebody makes a statement unpalatable about the chief, the whole political party, the entire leadership, moves to the chief's palace to sort of atone or plead and respect that institution. And so when the chiefs descend to the arena where we, the politicians, tend to throw jabs at each other, then they are within the boxing ring. And once you are within the boxing ring or the wrestling ring, there's a tendency that you will be caught up with a blow or a knock. And so I think that we should all ensure that we advocate that our chiefs stay off active partisan politics. They can make statements, they can talk about the politics of this country, but when they take sides, especially looking at the heated nature of our political spectrum, it becomes a very, very big problem for all of us.
Okay, so the reason why I was asking whether your view is sort of synonymous with the party's view is because of the next question I want to ask you. So yes, I get the point you're making, that you are simply in support of what the Constitution provides. The purpose of this conversation is to determine whether the Constitution is being fair with that rule or whether it should be changed. And that's why I'm asking, first of all, whether your view is synonymous with that of the party.
I think that it's a fair
reflection,
clause
okay,
or article in the Constitution.
All right. In that case, Mr. Jinapor, what I'm curious about is this: when your flag bearer travels around the country, as he is doing now, everywhere he goes to meet with the chiefs, and at some of these meetings, the chiefs have endorsed him, lent their support. So if the party is of the view that chiefs should not be engaging in active partisan politics, and as we've learned from Martin Kpebu, endorsing a candidate is engaging in active partisan politics, then why is your flag bearer doing this? Why is he visiting these chiefs and accepting their endorsements?
Yeah, that's a tricky and intelligent question. I'm a candidate. Richard is a candidate. Richard goes to Ashanti region, or he goes to Northern region. The chiefs are endorsing him. I go to Central region. The chiefs are endorsing me. And then right there and then, I take the microphone and tell the chiefs, no, chief, you cannot endorse me. You are debarred from endorsing me, so don't do that. Can you imagine the political ramification? And so, yes, you have a point. There's a constitutional provision. But also, we the politicians, I think that, and you, the media and everybody, we ought to discuss this. And I'm happy that your station has brought it up. Your station has wide coverage, is well respected. I'm sure once we start the discussion, we can build consensus and ensure that both sides, 2 months to elections, normally, and let's be fair, all the political parties, we also want advantage. We want to hear statements that will enhance our political fortunes. And so it would be very, very difficult practically for President Akufo-Addo or President Mahama to stand right in front of a chief and say, hold it, you are wrong, you cannot do this, you cannot praise me. And if you listen to what most of the chiefs say, they would usually recount some of the good works either President Akufo-Addo or President Mahama has done for them. And then based on that, they go to make statements that suggest that they are endorsing the candidates. But we are a democracy. It's a civil society. I'm sure that once you bring these things up and we continue deliberating on them, the chiefs themselves will take a cue from the mood of the people, from the mood of their citizenry, and from the mood of their subjects. And I'm sure that they would refrain from that.
All right. Coming into the studio, Mr. Ahiagba, you are open to the idea. Yeah. You see some potential in this. I'm curious, though. So, for example, and this is just an example, the Ochehene recently said that if any of his subjects has benefited from free SHS, then they should vote for President Akufo-Addo. Now, let's assume the elections come by and the NDC wins. At this point, the Ochehene, having identified himself as a supporter of President Akufo-Addo, he then becomes, in the eyes of the NDC, somebody who doesn't support them. Do his people not end up suffering as a result of that if he's considered to be not a supporter of the government, the party in government?
Okay. That position is hypocritical, the thing we're doing. And clearly, first, I disagree with Martin Kpebu, lawyer, for saying that endorsing a candidate is active politics. I mean, there's what is active about that? The operative word is active. Mm-hmm. And we all know what active is. That doesn't constitute active for me. And if you read the act, it's clear. So
can we define active politics then?
Okay. So the Constitution position, I see it, but in interpreting endorsement as active, I don't see that.
So what is active partisan politics?
Active is active. We understand.
That doesn't help.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm not finished yet.
Okay.
Active is active. John is an active politician, right? Winston can speak, but right now he's listening. He's passively engaged, right? And I'm talking about active politics, meaning engaging in active politics, seeking political office, actively standing on political platforms and speaking in favor of political parties and identified as a politician and as a political party member. So that's different from endorsing a policy. Now let's even be clear. What statement you just, played and what example you are giving.
Yes.
Okay. To say that free SHS is a policy position that is sound, that you support for your people. Otherwise, you're not serving your people's interest.
Actually, so what he said was, if you have benefited from free SHS,
yes,
then you should vote for President Akufo-Addo.
So who brought free SHS?
So that's an endorsement of President Akufo-Addo.
If that is the position, I'm saying that is a position expressed based on support for a policy. So
but
for me,
it's an endorsement of a candidate.
So should you not appreciate and endorse something that is good? That's why I'm saying that I'm open to the position. Now, I need to premise my support or openness to the position by saying my disagreement, first of all, to the interpretation that endorsement is equal to active participation.
And we're still waiting for your definition of active, because what you gave an example. You said Winston is listening, so he's passive.
Yeah,
so when he's talking,
he's active.
So anyone who's talking about politics is engaging in active partisan politics.
Yes, but then of course
that means Ochinhene was engaging in active partisan politics.
But
by
I was
your
trying
definition.
to express the difference between active and passive. So though he's inactive right now, we know clearly when you are not active, you are quiet. Okay? But the activity in terms of expressing and becoming political is not necessarily by just beginning to speak, but is speaking on a certain spectrum which says that I identify with this political party and I am a member of this political party. But when you express based on the interest of your people, okay, a policy position that helps them. Because after all, what is the chief supposed to do? Advance the interest of its people, right? And so when a chief supports a position, I don't see anything wrong with it. And that's what I told you from the beginning.
How about when a chief endorses a candidate? Because that is happening as well.
Yeah, you know my position to that. I don't think that is
you don't
active
think
politics.
That is active
it's
politics.
Not active politics.
Okay,
it's about supporting a policy position that makes sense. That otherwise, you as a chief, you would have provided for your people if you had the means.
So active politics, in your view, is standing for office.
Absolutely.
Or running for office.
And the act is clear about that. That if you want to do active politics, you give up your stool and go do that. And there's no ambiguity about it. It's clear. So it does not in any way or reflect that by endorsing another, you are in active politics, by which case you are expected to give up your stool just by endorsing. No, that's not what he said.
So to my question, which is, if somebody endorses a candidate, if a chief endorses a candidate, and then that candidate loses, does he not then end up putting his people at a disadvantage because the winning government will consider him to not be an ally and therefore might sideline him and, by in effect, his people when it comes to the delivery of certain
government can do that. If any government attempts to do that, it will lose the elections because the people are the ones who retain sovereign power. Okay? And the chief is one, or the king is one of the citizens of this country, except he has people underneath him. So if you think that a chief expresses a position in the interest of his people, and therefore his people voted according to that position, and you are going to single them out for treatment, you risk your own elections, because then you have to come to the people again, and that will be clear that you are singling citizens out for treatment, because really, as the president, okay, all the citizens of this country are your responsibility. So you cannot differentiate and treat people differently because you feel that somebody didn't support you. Otherwise, if MPP government exists, then we should find out the 53% of Ghanaians who supported us and deal with them and ignore the 44% or so.
It's interesting that you say that. Yeah, because you belong to the NPP. Your NPP has the president has appointed an ambassador to South Africa who says that some Ghanaians are more Ghanaian than others.
That's a separate conversation.
Well, I don't know why it's separate, because this is somebody representing the state in another country, and he has said categorically that he would deal with supporters of his party first before he deals with others, and that some Ghanaians are more Ghanaian than others. I don't know a better example of a counter to the point you just made.
Let me give you a better example. A better example is when a president wins as an MPP president and appoint an ambassador at large who was his opponent in that election. You understand that? Okay? That's a better example.
Because how is that a better example?
A better example in the sense that you treat all citizens as citizens, not as members of your party.
But somebody you appointed has said this. And the person is still ambassador, by the way.
That somebody
person is still at post.
That person is
never sanctioned, as far as we're aware.
I agree. You don't shift the discussion there.
I'm giving you an example.
And I'm giving you an example.
I don't know how they are related.
They are related because it's the president who won the election on the ticket of the MPP, but appointed a PNC leader as an ambassador at large, right? That's also a citizen who he sees as a citizen of this country per his qualification and services that he can render for the country. He engages him to do that. You understand? Now, the comment of an individual citizen, I don't want to elevate that to a presidential discussion.
Fair enough. An individual citizen is how you describe the ambassador.
The ambassador makes an individual statement.
For the purpose of the record, he did apologize. Let me add that. He made an apology for making that statement.
Exactly.
But nobody in government spoke against it.
Nobody in government has to speak against it. But if a president makes that statement, then we can have that conversation. But Winston, we need to understand the position of our Constitution, wrote from a certain viewpoint. There's wisdom in it, but I'm just saying that moving forward, it doesn't serve our best interest to... It was almost gagging some of our leaders to say that they who are permanent custodians of the land are eliminated from commenting and supporting things that clearly, if not spoken for or against, have implication for their leadership and for their people. So we need to look at that part of the Constitution.
All right. Mr. Jinapor, I'm sure you want to react, but in addition to your reaction, if you can also deal with this aspect of the conversation for me. One of your reasons why you don't think it's wise for chiefs to engage in partisan politics is because you feel that it brings them down or lowers them to the level of political discourse where they could be jabbed or punched, metaphorically. I'm wondering, would it not possibly have the opposite effect if chiefs were to engage in partisan politics, and we have so much reverence for chiefs? Might that not rather elevate political discourse to the point where people are not so eager to sling mud at each other because they know there are chiefs involved?
First of all, Dotunfo is one of the most powerful chiefs we have in Ghana. He is respected, he is revered. He stated categorically that what is happening is unfortunate. He is a chief. He is a senior chief. He is respected. So that is it. Two, Richard seeks to define active partisan politics to mean that you go and then mount a political party's platform. Please, Richard, read Act 759. That's the Chieftaincy Act of 2008. It defines who a chief is. And the Act tells you what the chiefs can do and what they cannot do. Secondly, there's literature on some of this. If you read Chieftaincy and Politics in Ghana since 1982, the author is K. Boafo Atta, published in 2001. And then Chieftaincy and Partisan Politics, the case of Aguna Ashanti Traditional Area, published by J. Thompson Kwache. If you read these documents, you would come to the firm conclusion that when a chief in his palace or wherever endorses a particular political party and says that vote for this person or vote for that person, he is engaged in active partisan politics because he's supporting one political party against the other. Chiefs are supposed to represent we, their subjects, and they speak on our behalf. not to take on the Ochehene, I'm not interested in dealing with individuals. What the Ochehene said, within his traditional area, there are NDC members, there are NDC executives. They do not share in what the Ochehene is said. Because we believe that Akufo-Addo must be voted out of office. We believe that the free SHS was not implemented properly. And so when a chief takes that position, it creates problems. Look, we are building a nation. We are building a country. And sometimes when we see something that is wrong, even as we respect our chiefs, even as I am happy when I hear some chiefs endorsing President Mahama, let us be honest with ourselves and say that if we have it the right way, at least our chiefs should stay off. So that when there is a problem, they can call the chiefs. So assuming there's a problem tomorrow, President Mahama disagrees with President Akufo-Addo on some electoral issues. Would the Ochehene have the moral authority to even summon, let me use the word summon, because when they call us, we respect them, to say that President Mahama, President Akufo-Addo, come and sit around the table. I want to mediate. I want to find a solution. Do you think he will be in a position to do that? I think we should be honest. Look, this country belongs to all of us. And sometimes when we see something and it is not good, even if we respect our chiefs and we can't condemn them, in a very reconciliatory, sober, respectful manner, with some sense of decorum, we can say that we wish it was the other way around.
But Mr. Jinapor, I suppose the question of whether or not chiefs might end up elevating political discourse, I mean, that's still untouched.
I don't see how chiefs can elevate the political discourse by taking sides.
We respect them. Nobody wants to, sling mud at their chief. We certainly hold them in high regard. You can't change your tribe. You can change your political party, your football team, your church. You can't change your tribe. So there are people who have a certain ingrained respect for their chiefs, and if they know that their chiefs speak on politics, even if they disagree with them, they wouldn't sling mud at them. Might that not end up having a ripple effect on politicians?
The Chieftaincy Act, which was supported by the chiefs themselves, and if you read some of the documents that led to the enactment of the Chieftaincy Act, the chiefs were actively involved. The chiefs themselves, in the Chieftaincy Act, they said that if you want to participate in active partisan politics, resign your position.
Is that fair, though? I mean, the Ochehene makes the point as well. He didn't get his chieftaincy position because of government. So if he decides that he wants to, take part in the governance of his nation, why must he lose his, family stool, his seat for that right?
Enjoys a lot of the provisions in the Chieftaincy Act. Is that not it? Martin just enumerated a lot of privileges, a lot of courtesies that our chiefs enjoy that we do not enjoy as enshrined in the Chieftaincy Act. You cannot pick and choose what suits you from a legal document or a constitution or an act of parliament. You can't do that. You can't say that as a citizen, I want to enjoy freedom of speech, but the responsibilities that goes with freedom of speech, I am an individual. I would not abide by that. That is why we pass laws. Laws are passed to ensure that the right thing is done. And so once there's a Chieftaincy Act, and you are the president of the Regional House of Chiefs in accordance with the Chieftaincy Act, you are a paramount chief because the Chieftaincy Act gives you those rights. I think that it's only fair, it is only proper that you respect that act in its entirety. You cannot choose certain portions of the act when it suits you, and then when it doesn't, you say that I'm a chief, so I will not respect that. Then I also say that I'm a citizen of Ghana. I'm entitled to criticize you as a chief. I'm entitled to speak against you because I'm also a citizen of Ghana. Should the law of the jungle?
Yeah, should the Constitution not extend this same argument against, say, religious leaders? I mean, is there any material difference between the position that a religious leader holds over his flock and the position that a traditional leader holds over his people?
Sovereignty rests with the people. The people of Ghana have made their determination. They have promulgated their constitution, which is the supreme law. This constitution was passed based on broad, extensive consultation.
But it can be amended.
If along the line, the people of Ghana feel that a certain category ought to be added, we can do that. Look, we are human beings. We are rational human beings. But once the law states that chiefs ought not to participate in active partisan politics, I think we should respect that. If all of it, we can come to a conclusion or a consensus that we should expunge that portion of the Constitution, fair enough. It's like saying that I'm hungry, so I take a gun and I go to rob. That cannot be. We can't live in that kind of society.
Right. Okay.
We build consensus and we amend and change laws to suit it. But as it stands, that is the law, and it will only be fair. It will only be proper if we can do our best to abide by the tenets of the Constitution.
Would you advise that when political leaders go into communities and as tradition demands, they go to visit the chiefs, that they do not take any media with them, so that if a chief makes any statement that ends up being actively partisan in nature, it is not captured? Because, as you said, politicians, due to politics, are unable to correct or, clarify or set straight what a chief says in their presence, if it turns out to be an endorsement. So should they perhaps go there privately, just them and their team, without the media, go and greet the chief, do what tradition requires, and then continue with their campaign?
I can assure you, by all the media men from accompanying President Mahama or Akufo-Addo to a palace, by the time he leaves that palace, whatever is said there, whatever transpired, is captured on video, not even on audio, and circulated. In this era of media pluralism, in this era of new media, in this era of technological advancement, I think that is not practicable.
No, but the chiefs have private meetings with people all the time. Otumfuo has had private meetings with presidents.
Even cabinet meetings.
We still don't know what happened at those meetings.
Just because the Otumfuo probably chose his words carefully, probably because the Otumfuo did not meddle in active partisan politics. If the Otumfuo had done that, probably it might have come out. I just think that all of us, collectively, let us take a position that will advocate for our chiefs on both sides of the political divide.
Right.
Who desist from engaging in active partisan statements because the people are wise enough. Look, my brother, the subjects of the chiefs, they feel the system. They don't need a paramount chief to tell them that, look, go and vote for candidate A or B. I'm sure that if their living conditions tells them the situation on the ground, they will determine the way forward.
All right.
Chiefs can advocate for development. They can advise us. When we go wrong, they can tell us. Even sometimes when political parties go wrong, I think that chiefs should be able to say that, look, this comment is too inflammatory. Let us tone it down. That is the essence of chieftaincy as far as I'm concerned.
Very well.
But when they begin to take active partisan positions and then begin to advocate for one candidate or the other, it is problematic, and let's be frank about that.
Okay. We've got more to talk about. You're listening to, of course, the Super Morning Show. It's Political Thursday. Our guest this morning, John Jinapor, and Mr. Ahiagbah of the Danquah Institute. And we're talking about, among other things, whether or not chiefs should engage in active partisan politics. Should the Constitution be amended to allow them to do so? Or is it fine as it is? I would love your views. Keep your tweets coming through. We're going to share a few of them right after these all-important messages. Stay with us.
Jack, so them said nam net cinamo. I make dry. Where the slow business. So they can't snap for Telatu in there and top up my money.
That's why they feel Telatu. I go fit open Cowbank Snap account, make cash deposit and withdrawals, transfer funds, and even pay my bills right here. They say all you need to open an account is any valid national ID card and fingerprint.
Am I the one you're calling Telatu?
Telatu! Yeah, best snap yo.
Whatever you use your money for, you can get easier access to it with Cowbank Agents Banking. Enjoy faster and safer banking at any registered Cowbank agent outlets near you or where you see the registered Cowbank agent sign. Contact us toll free on 0800 500 500. Cowbank Agents Banking, your neighborhood bank.
By 10 a.m., 5 million Ghanaians have heard. Have you heard? At least twice in a trotro. in the queue for Hajia's latte, and then a cocoa joint around the corner.
So, have you heard that Airtel Tigo calls and Airtel Tigo money transfers are free for 6 months?
6 months?
Yes, you heard right. 6 months of free morning calls and Airtel Tigo money transfers when you buy an Airtel Tigo SIM and make a simple transaction on Airtel Tigo Money. Share the news because Hong Kong no get leg. Get an Airtel Tigo SIM today.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
From tabletop trader to supermarket owner, at Enterprise, we take care of life's uncertainty so you're free to make your dreams a reality. Dream big with us.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Hello everyone. Huntech Markets is an award-winning financial technology firm with over 30 years of industry experience, with presence in 12 countries globally, and is now in Ghana, and is pioneering taking the global financial market, that is forex, commodities, cryptos and indices, teachings from offline to online using an award-winning video conferencing software. The online class would avail you the opportunity to learn how to make money on the global financial market in the comfort of your homes using your internet-based smartphone or a laptop. You can use this as an opportunity to learn a skill set that would enable you to make money trading in the global financial market. And guess what? The training is absolutely free. So how can you take part of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Simply SMS your name and location to this number, 050-992-8008. Again, 050-992-8008. And our executives will call you to reserve a space for you and also guide you through on how you can be connected to one of the online classes. Huntech Markets. Trust through transparency.
Because the greatest things are born from the smallest of thoughts. Just as your seeds in a rich soil grow to become trees that bear fruits, the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, helps you sow, invest, nurture, and grow your personal and business plans by serving you with years of banking ingenuity and experience in agribusiness, corporate and commercial banking, consumer finance, e-banking, and many more through our network branches across the country. Whatever the culture, whatever the dream, we grow with you. Call us today on 0302-210-210 or visit www.agricbank.com. ADB, truly agric and more.
Looking to shop, relax, and rejuvenate amidst this pandemic? Adansi Travels brings you highly discounted monthly trips to Dubai starting October to December 2020. There are at least 5 amazing packages to choose from, and each is designed to delight both new and sophisticated travelers. The starting rate is only $1,290 per person, covering your Emirates flight, 4-star luxurious hotel, UAE visa, visit to tourist attractions in Dubai, COVID-19 travel insurance, and more. What's more, you stand the chance to win a free COVID-19 PCR test required for this trip if you book within October. A travel deal in this COVID season can never be sweeter than this. To reserve your spot, call us on 0302-548674 or visit www.adansitravels.com. Let's feel the beauty of life once again with Adansi Travels.
Foreman, how can I say the screening be smooth, perfect, where it drive fast like that?
Contractor, I always tell you, say, Interface self-leveling screed be the best solution. It drive fast, where they make the job net. In fact, it pass analog. This be original digital Interface self-leveling screed.
Hey, babe, I hear you, Interface man.
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 0274-9999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net, Facebook Interface Limited GH, Instagram Interface.limited.
Charlie, make you hurry up here. I got football appointment.
Hey, you that. Football appointment.
Charlie, the new football season drop.
Really?
I got appointment plus English Premier League, La Liga and Italian Serie A every weekend. Now Go TV top the job, bro.
Go TV gets all these leagues
and more, pa. You can also watch the Dutch Eredivisie, MLS, EFL, and the Scottish Premiership all on ESPN.
Wow.
Go TV, dear. Better football day live with my Go TV every weekend. Big My buddy, they have value for money, Uncle Zach. This new football season, get your money's worth. Get your GoTV decoder, GoTenna, with 1 month plus subscription at 109 Ghana cedis and stay connected for better football on our revamped Super Sports channels via My GoTV, Pay by the Point, or any mobile money agent near you. Get football worth watching. Terms and conditions apply. GoTV. Live it, love it.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best on Joy 99.7 FM.
And the chiefs you are start one man of you. No more in Markel. Eh? No in Markel. One more start view. Endorsement here, endorsement there. Yeah. What's wrong with our chiefs? I wonder. Into one new their constitution it debars them from doing that. To be honest, across the political divide, it is so wrong. All of them, I mean, why endorsement needing to well, they should get some wisdom to come to bear on what will chief times. It is well defined. You can't do active party politics. If you endorse a presidential candidate, whether it's a sitting president or a former president or a parliamentarian or whatever, openly in the public space, there, me vote amount, and then we pray for 4 more years for you, and it's wrong. It's unconstitutional. Indeed, it's unwise. It doesn't matter your status. In fact, the higher your status, on the quarantine or there, abide by what the Constitution says. Please, let's be bold and tell our chiefs this. They are wrong. No matter which chief. I know some crime.
Abedimpo, come for fiki that. It is the bra, it
Wahala. All right, well, it's 9 o'clock on the Super Morning Show. And look, we're talking about whether or not, this provision in the Constitution that chiefs should not engage in active partisan politics, whether it should be amended. Okay, so we understand that's the law. We understand that. Abdul Malik Kwekubako expresses that fact. That is the law. But he goes further. He says it's actually unwise for chiefs to do this. And so that's the point we're discussing here. Is it something that should be changed? Should chiefs be allowed to participate in partisan politics, or active partisan politics? What is active partisan politics? Or should the Constitution stay as it is, and should we enforce it and ensure that chiefs do not engage in active partisan politics? These are the things we're talking about this morning, and we would love your view on it. So listen, why don't you give us a call? The number is 0302 216 541. Okay, that's 0302 216 541. Now, what's Twitter saying, Winston?
Well, so at Usman Abbas _ says, Richard's definition of active politics, it's absurd. Politics is all about policies, and when a chief backs the policy of a political party, he's simply endorsing the party, plain and simple. And there's one at what? Fooling _ partner control.
Wow.
Says, I don't think chiefs should engage in active politics, but they should air their opinions. They should be able to endorse a good policy. Nanaya Amo _ says, it is absolutely wrong to say that because a chief endorses a candidate, his people can be sidelined when it comes to development. The Kojo Yankson, I don't believe we expect the president to champion development only in areas which supported his bid. We're all citizens. And Dr. Kokunte Sidian, I
love these handles.
Yeah, I love them too. He says, let's see it this way. How will law and order be upheld in your house if, as a dad, you take sides with any of your kids whenever there are disputes or issues with competing interests? That's why they should stay out of the boxing ring. Let's see Ghana as our own house. And Adoreku Asamoah says, I believe Asantehene's statement on the issue is profound. As a chief, you have a lot of people from diverse political backgrounds under your watch. It will be unwise to declare political stand. We have to protect the sanctity of chieftaincy. And finally, Jamigi Hari says, a chief has several followers belonging to different political affiliations. The moment the chief declares support for a particular party, there might be loss of control. However, a chief can praise or condemn the actions or inactions of political parties.
All right, and I do agree with that tweet who said that we shouldn't expect parties in government to help some areas and leave others just because of which one supports them and which one doesn't. But the question is, does it happen or not? Even though we don't expect it, does it happen or not? Daniel is in Tema. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Winston. Thank you for the opportunity. I think I go for the position that we do not have to engage chiefs in partisan politics, and for many, many reasons. You put a question to Jones, and it has to do the following. I do not think that when political parties pay courtesy calls on chiefs, they go there for the sole purpose of endorsement. I think it is to show reverence and to show respect to the chief that I have come into your community, into your traditional areas to campaign, and therefore, as the chief and the custodian of the land, we want to see that respect. It is not for purposes of endorsement. Otherwise, when chiefs have endorsed one political party, the other political party need not go there, but they still go there. It's part of showing the respect. But it also has to do with the fact that chiefs are not like special breeds of people sitting somewhere. Some chiefs are actually judges. They are judges and they become chiefs. So if we say we are allowing chiefs to play politics, and we are allowing those chiefs who have become judges who have become chiefs to play politics, there are chiefs who are civil servants, and by law, civil servants are also not supposed to do partisan politics. So we need to look and have a broader discussion. Even the chief council institutions are resourced largely by the state. The vehicles the chiefs use at the regional houses of chiefs and the national houses of chiefs are sponsored by the state. The secretarial staff of the traditional councils, the regional houses of chiefs, are paid for by the state. So let me use a classic example of, and it's difficult to say, but as the president of the regional house of chiefs, the vehicle is used. It's provided by the state. The secretarial staff at the traditional council and at the regional houses of chiefs are paid for by the state. So when you are endorsing one political party against the other, when the one you are campaigning against wins, and that goes back to your question, how do you expect that political party or government to treat you?
Right. Thank you for sharing. That's a perspective of Daniel in Tema. Let's speak to Ellie in Adabraka. Hello, Ellie.
Yeah, hello.
There you are, Ellie. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kojo.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, I think for chiefs, endorsing, presidential candidates, I think it is very wrong. The framers of the Constitution have a reason for doing that. You, as a chief, you are supposed to champion development in your area. And your subsets also belong to different political parties. So if you, endorse one candidate over the other, what are you trying to achieve? So if you are supposed to, foster unity among your people, and then you are endorsing one candidate over the other, and there's, confusion between two political parties. How are you going to resolve that when you have already taken sides? That is very wrong.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ellie in Adabraka. You can call us to 0302-216-541. Here's Thomas, also in Adabraka. Thomas, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo. How are you?
Not bad, Thomas.
Chiefs should never participate in active politics. And in this instance, if they want to confuse us with active politics, they just shouldn't participate in politics at all. But I can say that because they vote. So they should do it quietly. So vote, but don't talk. You know, if you look at if you analyze what the Ochehini says, it's tribalistic. He said that Achems should vote for Akufo-Addo simply because Akufo-Addo is from Achem land. It doesn't make any sense. You have Ofosu-Ampofo.
Let's be fair and circumspect. First of all, that's not what the Ochehini said, and secondly, I think you should measure your words when you're speaking about a chief. You understand why we have that respect and reverence for them. Let's not throw it into the gutter right now. Thank you very much for sharing. Ameuga is in Kumasi. Ameuga, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo.
Thank you for calling. Not bad at all. Thank you.
Kojo, I keep saying something that, constitutionally, when you are called before a chief and you don't appear, you've not violated any law.
Yes, you're right about that, actually.
Sorry?
You are right about that. We have looked it
Good.
up. Yes, I'll give
so
that
it's on this basis
later.
that the chiefs will have to know one thing. If they continue on this path, it will get to a point they will lose respect in a section, before a section of some of their subjects, in the sense that not all your subjects will belong to one side where you also belong or you support. So if they continue to take sides, it will get to a point. I remember, I think yesterday I heard on Adom that one of the places, the chiefs are saying that one of the people are saying that the chief is to come out with some evidence that someone has said something. If not, they will demonstrate against the chief. This is how it starts. If we don't get to the point where the chief will remain totally neutral and criticize where it's due and praise where it's due, and they continue to endorse, we'll be cooking something in the kitchen that we can't eat. I think it's about time that they hit to advise the Asante gives, and then we all live in peace. Because every party will come to you because they've come to your land to campaign. Up to you to receive them and give them the way. But if you continue on this path where these people will say that don't come here and campaign, these people can come here and campaign, it will get to a point development will be stalled in some places while some places will be developing.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amewuga. Latte is our next stop. Here's Blessing. Good morning, Blessing.
Hey, good morning, sir. Good morning to your team, too. Well, this very issue is very simple. I believe the framers of the Constitution put on their thinking caps before they arrive at this decision. Now, this is very simple. For instance, if you are my father and you have two children, myself and my brother, and then you go about telling the people that my brother is a bad person, right? Or for instance, if my brother needs something, you advise the family members not to help, right? Because you are in that position, then it means that the family members will take you serious because you're a father. In fact, Achim might not say that the Achim should vote for NPP per se. But what if the people of Gonja also decide that now, my people, let's vote for our brother here? What happens? Or then, and these people shouldn't come to Achim to campaign. What if the Gonjas also say that? And then the Gans also stood up to say that, look, this is our place. We don't want any politics here. What is going to happen? Please, they should stay in their palace. That's where they belong. They should take their decisions there. They shouldn't follow politicians because they are not the politician is not sincere.
Right. Thank you for that. And you can call us too, 0302-216-541. Eric is in South Sinchi. Sounds like a pretty part of the country. Hello, Eric. Good morning.
Good morning, sir, my brother.
So, talk to us.
You said something that Ocheni didn't say that they should vote for His Excellency Akufo-Addo.
No, I said that Ocheni did not say they should vote for him because he is Achim.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, too.
But
all right.
He said that they should vote for Akufo-Addo.
That's correct.
Thank you. That is what I want to see here.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Let's speak to Richard in La Paz. Hi, Richard. Good morning.
Hey, Konfu Kodo. How are you?
Konfu Richard. I'm not bad at all. What's up?
Thank you for the good work you do for the northern disaster victims.
It's our pleasure.
This morning, Kodo.
Yes, sir.
Do you know that we have a King Solomon in Ghana? Hello?
I'm waiting to hear who our King Solomon is.
We have a King Solomon. Asante has spoken. Our King Solomon has spoken up on this issue. I think we should have ended the topic there. You see, the chiefs, their subjects belong to all the parties. So if you take sides, will the other party members, respect or revere you? So you don't need to take sides. Just be neutral and, govern your subjects with respect, dignity, love, and unity of whatever jurisdiction the chieftaincy covers. That is how it should be, so that every time, 24-hour service, any subject can go to the chief with all the confidence that what I'm going to the chief for, I will get it. advice or whatever. So when they take sides, then we begin to look at them like some bootlickers. So they should stop it. The Asante, the other day I was conversing with an American about this, their Supreme Court thing. I said, if you have to appoint a particular judge to serve your purpose, then that is not justice. If they want justice, we have a chief judge in Ghana, Asante. We can solve their problems whenever they have difficulty. Asante, if we were all listening to this man, we wouldn't have problems about this kind of things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Let's take one more call. And Ibri seems a good place to go for it. Here's Ejari. Ejari, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I hope all is well with you.
All is fine with me. Thanks for calling us.
Good. Thanks for the opportunity to have your platform this morning.
Sure.
Kojo, I think that with this issue in terms of the chiefs dabbling in our politics, even though the law says that they are not supposed to engage themselves in politics, it's a serious issue that all of us have to analyze it sagaciously, else we might not be able to come or arrive at a better conclusion. Yes, the law says that they are not supposed to do that, but if you also subject the law to reality, is it something that is practicable? Is it something that is achievable, or it's a utopian idea that we all have put it in the law? Because now a case in point that I raised this week, you see, when you go to, is it domain where the soldiers were beaten, or Bomi, whatever, recently you see some soldiers were beaten over there. The MP there is at the same time the Odikru. So recently when Dr. Bawumia went there, he went to talk to him. And I don't get it because Article 94 Clause 3C of our 1992 Constitution states that if you are a chief, you cannot be a parliamentarian simultaneously. So it breaches the law. And I don't know why he's still the chief and at the same time the MP. So even me myself, I want some education about it in terms of why he's the chief and at the same time the MP. So I think all of us have to discuss this very well if we really want to extinguish this particular thing, or we change the law so that if they can engage themselves in politics, then they do that gladly.
Tell me, which area is this again? I want to double check this information.
Where the soldiers were beaten recently. Is it Obomi Domiabra? Yes. That's the constitution. The MP is Nilai Akote Abo.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, he is the MP there, and I think that he's the Odikro, where Sinadoye is contesting.
Right, that's interesting. We'll double check that.
You can cross-check for me, because recently when Dr. Bawumia went there, he was the Odikro who received Dr. Bawumia, and he's still the MP, so I don't get it why he can be holding both positions concurrently.
All right, we'll look into that. Thank you so much for that information. Jerry is in Ibri. Thanks to all of you who called. Fascinating views there. Now, that clarification that I said I would bring to you, Mr. John Jinapor asked whether or not that aspect of the Chieftaincy Act had not been repealed, and so we looked into it. Samson Ladi looked into it for us, and now it is subsection D of Section 63 of the Chieftaincy Act 2008, which deals with summons of a chief. And indeed, it was repealed in 2011. That particular subsection was struck down and deleted by the Supreme Court, or the Supreme Court ordered that it be struck down and deleted. So yes, that is the clarification.
Exactly. So that in July 2011, that was struck out of that particular law. So what it means then is that you would not have to face criminal charges if you refuse summons of a chief.
Yeah. Now, I did promise Mr. Hiagba about 30 seconds to react to something because he didn't get the chance to do it earlier. I'll do that just before we take the break.
So could you, the thing about it is that my position is we must be progressive in our views. Our history informed what was inserted. I was having that discussion with Winston offline. But the point of it is that the constraint must not be put on citizens to disengage from what should be a citizen responsibility.
Right.
So we must not gag our chiefs. Now, we should not also, I want to be fast here, we should not also link the respect of our chiefs to their personality. It's an institution. It's inherent that I respect my chief because that is my tradition, that is who I am in my essence. So if you disrespect the chief, you disrespect yourself, not the chief as a person, the institution. That's who you are, that's your essence, that's our culture. But let's get to a place where we understand that they are part of building this society. They are, in fact, a permanent part of our culture, and they last and outlast the political regime. So if there's something going on that is inimical to the interest of his or her people and cannot make an input, we are gagging them essentially, and it will be an abdication of their responsibility for trying to make good provisions for their people to be quiet. And doing it in silence, I don't think is as effective. And we know, I was telling Winston, that up and down this country, you can tell, even with the provisions of not actively engaging, which chiefs support who. And let's be clear and allow the space for conversation for our chiefs.
Okay. It's an issue that has many of us conflicted. I mean, on the one hand, I certainly, I want to be convinced before I accept any provision of the law that removes a right from anyone at all, not just chiefs. I want to be convinced. But on the other hand, when you look at this particular law, even if it is discriminatory against chiefs, it seems to be discriminatory in their favor. There seem to be far fewer benefits of a chief, engaging in politics than there are of, there are of disadvantages, if you ask me. But then again, maybe it should be their choice. Their right.
Well, I think that could do. The law is such that the law having recognized our history, where chiefs were stood in some periods of our history for probably not belonging to or being too critical, or the government deeming them not to be on their side. It's important that we revere the institution. And that is why the Constitution says, if you want to do so, walk away. Let's just maintain it like that. If you want to do so, go.
Maybe it's a testament to who we are as a people, that even our Constitution has to protect chiefs from disrespect that comes with politics by ruling against their participation, because the Constitution accepts that we as a people will just find it too difficult to be clean with politics. That's fascinating. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got more to talk about. The Ejapa deal is on our minds. Okay. So, according to Martin Amidu, the IPO should be suspended, and the finance minister says it is suspended. What does that mean? What does that mean exactly? And are there some implications of this that are either beneficial or not beneficial to us as a people? When we return.
Accidents do happen. It could be a motor accident, a sudden heart attack, or even a stroke, or any other health emergency. The first steps you take are very critical. Should you be involved in or witness an accident, call 112 for the fastest ambulance response. With over 300 well-equipped ambulances all over Ghana, you are assured of the fastest response to your emergency calls. Call 112 during critical health emergencies and save your life and that of your family and loved ones. 112, help will come. 112, we are safe. Avoid prank calls as they can lead to loss of life of persons in actual need of help. Be a responsible citizen.
Multi TV, in collaboration with Syndicated Capital, brings you the 25th anniversary promo sales for only 150 Ghana cedis. Get yourself a quality advanced S2 decoder, quality dish, and an LMB. Don't be deceived by these fake decoders too. Insist on the quality digger box. With the advanced S2 digger box, you can get over 150 TV and radio channels with sports, news, cartoons for the kids, and other exciting channels. And you get access to the new Joy Learning channel on Multi TV designed for the senior high school students. The quality advanced S2 decoder has over voltage protector, auto scan, and 1-year warranty and a USB slot. So what are you waiting for? Rush for yours now. For inquiry and purchase, call 030-2242-532 or 050-152-9937. 030-2242-532. Quality Advanced S2 decoder is the only approved multi-TV decoder. Quality we promise and deliver.
Welcome over to Nah It's Saying.
Hey yo, I'm
so relieved to find you here.
That's the whole idea. An easy life for our DSTV customers in the area.
It's amazing how you guys have made paying for DSTV subscriptions so easy.
DSTV is always looking for ways to serve you best. In actual fact, we have roaming pay buddy agents that could come to you as well.
Wow, this one be good news, Ankasa.
That's not even all. With Pay Buddy, we can also activate your new and old DSTV account, sell and install your decoders, clear your errors, as well as answer all your inquiries right in front of you. No calling matter of fact is Biao. You're all set. Pay Buddy that.
Fasto, thank you so much.
Look out for a Pay Buddy kiosk or an agent in your area. Pay Buddy, we dare your area. DSTV, feel every moment.
My buddy, why you for just the watch when you can be wild proper? When you for scream, shout, she and kata, put your body, get down, fire your body, catch views, drop the mic. Ghana, the time catch where we for change the way we watch. Welcome to Showmatch and to Chow Online Entertainment from movies and series to sports like EPL and La Liga. Feel it from Super Sport and more. You feel enjoy them on any device, anytime. Visit showmatch.com today. Men's lucky.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best on Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back. It's the Super Morning Show. It's Political Thursday. Our guest, Mr. John Jinapor, is a member of Parliament for Yape Gusogu, and Mr. Richard Ahiagba is it CEO? Is that the title, or is it director?
It's a director.
Director
yes.
of the Dankwa Institute. We're talking about a number of things. We just spent some time on the issue of chiefs and partisan politics. Now, I've got so many tweets that I wasn't able to deal with, but there was this constant accusation here that I was suggesting that what the Ochinhene said was partisan when it is not. I think I'll leave that to everybody's opinions and views, but I think you also need to bear in mind the Ochinhene chose a specific policy to use as his basis for endorsing the President Akufo-Addo. He chose a specific policy. He could have said, if you are benefiting from water in your community, then you vote for John Mahama. He didn't say that. He said, if you are benefiting from free SHS, vote for President Akufo-Addo. So I think it's up to us to make our own decisions about whether it was partisan or not. All right, let's move on. Ejapa is on our minds, and once again, I'm going to start with Mr. Jinapor, if you don't mind. The question is simple. Now that Martin Amidu has asked that the IPO be suspended while he looks into the issue. What's the benefit here? We've stopped the clock, but what are we going to achieve?
Well, I do not know exactly what Mr. Martin Amidu will be doing. We are waiting to receive his report. I hope that when the report is ready, unlike the issue of the cocoa roads, it will be made available in the spirit of transparency, accountability, and ensuring that we do what is right and proper. I think that we should divulge as much information to the citizenry as much as we can. We have maintained, have an issue, that this deal is not a good deal. And so it is good to hear that there's a suspension, but that is not enough. That is not enough. I think that in accordance with best practices, we should refrain from rushing through such agreements at Parliament. That is the essence of Parliament. In fact, we shouldn't have gotten to this level. Parliament should have done due diligence, gone through the whole motion, gone through the whole process before final approval. Unfortunately, in less than 24 hours, this deal was presented. 5 different bulky agreements presented that morning, and by close of day, all the agreements were passed. Indeed, we even had to suspend our standing orders to allow for this deal to go through. And you watch it, because you watch it. Most of the agreements that come to the floor without consensus, eventually, it turns out to be problematic. PDS, Ameri,
the ACE agreement, and several others, SUBA and all those ones that comes to Parliament, where there is real resentment from one side of the divide, it turns out to be problematic. And that undermines Parliament itself as an institution. Because the job of an MP is to serve the interests of the people. That's the ultimate job of an MP. It is because you, Kojo, Richard and Co., you cannot meet every time to peruse what your government is doing. That is why on the 7th of December, you go to queue and to vote for us as members of Parliament to be your representatives. So we have a fiduciary duty to do what is right and proper. It is unfortunate that when this deal came to the floor, the minority and the majority, ab initio, took divergent positions. Because we maintain that, look, let's do a publication, first of all, that this is what government wants to do. Let us engage civil society. Let us engage the people of Ghana. Let us take time and peruse the documents so that you, the people of Ghana, and those of you who are interested, civil society, you can feed us, Parliament, with memos and information. Then we can do a proper analysis and a proper interrogation. The Minister of Finance stated that they were bound by time and that they needed to do this listing immediately. The majority side went with them. Today, where are we? So the question is, why the rush? We've hit a roadblock because there are key provisions that ought to be met. I wouldn't waste time because we've dealt with this over and over. But my brother, don't you think that key among them is that we should do evaluation and that a reputable company should do a proper valuation and tell us that, look, based on the future cash flows, when you discount the future cash flows, this is the present value of the future receivables. And so if you are going to list, your target ought to be X or Y. That is proper, that is fair.
Mr.
That is in the interest of this country.
Mr. Jinapor, I think this is a good time to get a certain clarification from you. Is this now the remaining and only criticism of the NDC against this deal? The fact that you think it is undervalued?
No.
Okay, what
that
are
not
can
the
we
only
enumerate
one. The other
issue?
one is that if you are going to list in a tax haven, which government has done that before? A lot of the Scandinavian countries and a lot of countries are shying away from tax havens because tax havens are susceptible to money laundering. Today, Ghana has been blacklisted. And so we shouldn't be seen to be taking steps that goes to confirm some of this action.
Right.
We equally stated that the agreement itself gives certain unfettered rights to the minority side. It also states certain conditions that we thought were not proper. And so we raised several issues. Because if the bottom line is that if we had taken our time in Parliament and gone through the whole motion properly, a lot of the issues we are raising would have been dealt with at committee level. But when you rush through the process, you simply wouldn't get anything beneficial. Right. And so I suspect strongly that this issue of special prosecutor investigating is only a small screen and that the market is not favorable because before you go to the market, you'd have tested the market. I strongly believe that the market is not favorable.
Right.
That is why they are pulling back.
Okay. Let me ask you this, if you don't mind. You talk about how Parliament should have taken its time, but I'm aware that this issue of it being domiciled in a tax haven is something that was approved initially in Parliament by both sides. There was consensus on those aspects of the agreement.
Let them bring that evidence that we approve that go and establish a company in a tax haven.
You voted on the provision that said that this company can be domiciled in any jurisdiction.
I am saying that we never approved that this company should be domiciled in a tax haven. No.
But you agreed it can be domiciled in any jurisdiction.
Even that one. Muntaka led us on that day when they were amending those clauses and resisted it. The records are in the Hansard. And I recall I was in Parliament. Honorable Muntaka, the minority chief whip, insisted that what we're doing was wrong and that it will come to hurt us. So there's enough evidence, there's enough documentary evidence to suggest that we did not swallow this whole process hook, line, and sinker.
Okay.
And that along the route, along the line, we raised serious infractions that we thought would be inimical to the interest of Ghana. It's not just the NDC. 15 CSOs, they are not political. They also want the interest and the benefit of this country. They've raised serious issues with this whole transaction. Beyond the politics, let us be frank, let us be honest, that this deal is not in the best interest of Ghana.
Okay.
And that the earlier we abrogate it, the better, so we can build consensus.
Okay.
When you are doing a project or taking a decision that affects our gold royalties, infinity, because if you look at the term, there's no term limit. You have to take your time. You need to consult extensively and carry the people with you. That is not what we are seeing here.
Okay. We'll be getting more from Mr. Jinapor on this. In fact, we are going to tie it to the blacklisting by the EU on alleged grounds of money laundering. That's a blacklisting of Ghana by the EU. We'll come back to Mr. Jinapor for more on that. But Winston, you had a clarification?
No, just a quick question to Mr. Jinapor. So, Mr. Jinapor, you make the point that there's more like a smokescreen. Now, the special prosecutor is also requesting for the Attorney General's opinion over this and the corruption risk assessment. Don't you believe that if there's anything untoward, this deal could be brought back and corrected, and that's the opportunity you want to have a second look at it would be given?
Thank you. The SP is dealing with the corruption aspect of it. It is possible that there will be no corruption in terms of the whole transaction, yet the state will not benefit. That is possible. So corruption is just one leg of it. For instance, if you undervalue the company and you go to list, and other people, through the IPO, they procure, and then on the secondary market, they tend then to sell and make more money. Nobody could be charged for corruption, but the state would lose. And so beyond corruption is also the fact that we ought to do due diligence, we ought to do what is proper, we ought to follow all the necessary protocols to ensure that whatever we are doing, the Republic of Ghana stands to benefit from this deal. That is our position. It's good. I'm not against the SP investigating this matter. It's possible that some issues might come up. But I'm saying that the issues we have raised, they go beyond just corruption. It is more deeper.
Okay. Mr. Ahiagba, now, it's interesting the angle that Mr. Jinapor has just introduced, that, look, this may not be about corruption, after all. There is a possibility that by the end of this process, corruption will not be the problem. But the problem might be that we're going into a deal that doesn't benefit the people of Ghana. Now, I've got to say there is something just naturally strange about somebody selling something and the person being told that the value you are placing on it is too low. And the person is arguing that no, it's low enough. The person is arguing against a lower value than what the public thinks he should sell it at. It seems an unnatural state. Yeah. You know, so at this point that the clock has been stopped, is government now more amenable to perhaps taking a second look at the specifics and getting a deal that is agreed upon by all sides?
Yes, could you? I think this Japa thing suffered hyper politicization, and that took away from the constructive discussion we should have had from the beginning, and is most unfortunate. And seeing the NDC pivot away from the claims of corruption and whatever else they said, I think is very instructive, and that reveals a position that perhaps going forward we should be a bit more controlled and focused on the issues as opposed to on the politics. I am happy to have discussion about value, because really it's a good conversation to be had about what maximum benefit we can extract from this deal. So that is not an issue. And if we engage that, I'm sure that will come out with something beneficial for Ghana. But you see, the original construct was not really going to disadvantage Ghana anyway. Because then if you are going to the market and your estimates say about 500 million, for example, that you're going to raise, and you are more or less listing 49%. Now, that 49%, you could have just probably by 10% sold, you could probably get that estimate that you were looking for. And then you still have the rest of your shares still available. And it happens many times if you look at the history of stock market trades, where companies far exceed their expectations. So that issue really is a non-issue for me. And then those who raised it know about this. Mm-hmm. So the thing from the beginning was essentially just how toxic politically the environment was.
Yes, but Richard, before you continue, if you exceed the amount that you decide you're listing for, you have to engage the shareholders now, those who have purchased. Because if I know, for instance, that if I'm looking at $1 billion, and I know that for 49% of the listings, we're looking at 490, let's say we make it $500 million. Now, if I purchase, say, $100 million, I am expecting 10%. Now, if you exceed that listing, you then would have to consult me. So if all of us, as those who have purchased shares, disagree, you cannot increase and say, because it's been oversubscribed, there we go with that amount of money. You know that.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I do. But then the point is that what is the probability of disagreement? You understand? Just like Kojo is raising the issue, to say that you have something to sell and you have potential to extract maximum, price for it. Nobody will disagree. But then you want to be measured, because when you overestimate and it goes and it falls, it actually sets you back, at the outset. So you want to be measured and put yourself in a position where you have leverage.
But the argument is that you have underestimated, So
well, but that is not cast in stone at that point, right? It reflects a mindset going into the market that you can actually come out on top. So it is not a position of disadvantage necessarily to go in that direction. But what I think is comforting is that now maybe we can have that conversation about value, which I am not opposed to. But the only thing is that now we must do well to move away from the politics and then objectively see what is there to be had.
The other aspect of the conversation is about the tax haven.
Yeah.
Now, this is something which I must say, in all the discourse we have had on this show, and I can't speak for other platforms, but on this show, I am yet to hear the explanation of government that really ticks all the boxes on why the state is setting up a company in a tax haven to avoid shareholders paying tax to the state. Does it not rob the state of a certain moral argument? Okay, now how can any other person be discouraged from avoiding tax? How can any other business be discouraged from establishing itself in a way or in a place that allows it to avoid paying tax? If the state itself is avoiding revenue, how do you insist on others paying tax?
Well, you see, so assume right now the company is 100% Ghanaian, right? So the processes leading to that would even mean that we're paying ourselves our money, we're paying interest to ourselves, which most likely doesn't make sense. Now,
why would that not make sense?
No, I'm talking about from the outside. MIF is owned 100% by the state.
Yes.
So setting up here and then tax obligation, you're paying the tax to yourself. You understand? Now, I am not opposed necessarily.
There will be shareholders.
Yes.
From all around the world.
Well, that is once you are listed.
Yes.
Once you are listed. But before that, you're paying tax to yourself. Now, the tax haven thing, what is the argument against it? When you list over there, you are essentially is a no tax liability regime that you have, and so as a vehicle to be able to list on the London Stock Exchange, it is much easier for you to be able to do that. The standards are a bit more straightforward, so it gives you it cuts you to a point where all the regulatory standards you can comply with, because it is more or less akin to the London Stock Exchange, where the processes are evident for you. But when you do here, the regime, what I'm saying is that the regime, if you had established that company here, the acceptability and what compliance standards would be expected would be quite different. So you put yourself...
Would they be impossible to meet? Can a company registered in Ghana not meet the standards of the London Stock Exchange?
But you could probably meet it, but at what cost? And
yes, at what cost?
And at what cost?
That's the question I'm asking.
I don't know at what cost, but then certainly it will come at a cost. And that cost can be avoided if you list at a jurisdiction that has that flexibility and has that history within the space you want to list your IPO. So I am saying that there really is nothing. Of course, people are just saying that because there's disclosure conditions or disclosure clauses are really the problem the NDC has to say when you list there, foreign authorities, tax authorities cannot be forced to disclose certain information about a company. Is that really the problem? Is it not a problem? I don't think so. And you see, the issues even about tax havens, even the United Kingdom is a tax haven. The United States is a tax haven. Switzerland is a tax haven. So are we saying that we shouldn't do business in those jurisdictions?
Wait, when you say the United Kingdom is a tax haven, what do you mean?
A list is a tax haven.
Explain. How is the United Kingdom a tax haven?
Just much as the same as the Jersey is a tax haven.
Are you certain of that?
Absolutely. There's a list of countries that are tax havens.
So by tax haven, what exactly do you mean? When you establish your company there?
You establish a company there.
In the United Kingdom.
They have incentives for you not to pay corporate tax, for example. And then your confidentiality of your tax credentials or company information is protected. I cannot go there, or Ghana cannot go there and force them to tell you information about Japa royalties, for example, or Kojo Enterprise.
So are you saying that
by definition, the
owners of companies in the United Kingdom, you cannot find out who they are?
Yes.
You cannot trace. You cannot trace
a tax authority like Ghana,
and they avoid tax.
No, it's not like they avoid. You see, that's a myth we haven't explained about it. It's not about avoiding tax.
What is it?
It is about benefiting from a regime of not paying corporate tax, because really, what is the incentive? A tax haven is set up.
That's avoiding corporate tax.
It's not avoiding, because
it is. That's exactly what it is. I mean, there's a difference between evading tax and avoiding tax. I'm talking about avoiding tax.
Okay, so what is wrong with you setting up? And first of all, let's talk about this. The tax havens, they are set up essentially to attract investment. That's all there is. So it's not a criminal thing. So Ghana can decide to be a tax haven to say that, and we do that all the time anyway.
In fact, on this deal, I know that Parliament actually approved that there should be a tax waiver.
Yes.
All right. So why do we have to go and establish abroad if there is a tax waiver approved by Parliament of Ghana?
That is one level of it, but listing on the stock exchange is another component of why you want to do that. And see, and the thing about it, we need to clear that the tax haven is not a criminal thing. It's not something that is bad, but it is actually an appropriate means of trying to save your company from paying tax.
Does it rob government of the moral right to insist that others pay tax?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm going to take a final word from Mr. Jinapor on this one, because I'm told that our time is running out.
First of all, it is not true that the United Kingdom is a tax haven. That cannot be. Their corporate tax rate is about 19%. And so that cannot be.
In fact, there are United Kingdom businesses that are set up in Jersey to avoid paying tax in the United Kingdom. Because they don't want to pay
the taxes in the United Kingdom. And tax havens are generally offshore countries. And with tax havens, you share very limited information. There's so much confidentiality and there's so much opaqueness when you establish in a tax haven. And I'm saying that a sovereign country like that of Ghana should not be doing that. And like you said, eventually you are going to have a lot of people to be shareholders. And the government of Ghana, the Republic, the Minister of Finance says that, look, if we establish in Jersey, we won't be paying corporate tax to the government of Ghana. What signal are you sending to the Talos, the MTNs, and the other companies in Ghana? I am surprised that Richard is going that route. But like I said, I don't want to even believe at this point. Let's pull the brake. Let us sit around the table, consult, build consensus, and do what is proper and right. Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta alone cannot be an oasis of all knowledge. All of us can contribute towards building a Ghana that we can all be proud of.
Mr. Jinapor, if you don't mind, final thing before we go, because we have just 1 minute left. Bearing in mind that you have now conceded that by the end of this, corruption may not be the issue to deal with, do you feel that perhaps it's regrettable that members of your party used expressions like, Sakawa and so forth to describe this deal?
Oh, when we do politics, we do make a lot of statements. And in a political atmosphere, beyond what we say, when we sit around the table, we deal with real issues. And that is why I am dealing with the real issues. If the government had listened from day one, pull the brakes, and build consensus, I'm sure that some of these things we are talking about wouldn't have come up. In any case, we don't even have the report yet. So the issue of regret doesn't come.
Fair enough.
The SPV is yet to start its work, and so let's wait for the report.
Fair enough. Now, just a few seconds on the blacklisting. And my specific question on that to you is does the minority see that its criticism of some of the policies of government and the constant accusation of wrongdoing may have contributed to the international community's dim view of Ghana when it comes to...
no, not at all. Not at all. They do not do that. I have the anti-money laundering bill before me now, 2020. If you read the explanatory memo from Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, it traces all this work we are doing from 2009, 2013, 2016, 2019. Over the weekend, we had a finance committee meeting to work on the new anti-money laundering bill, which will become a law. This is a prerequisite from the Financial Action Task Force. And so it's a whole comprehensive thing we are looking at. And this cannot be the issue at all. This is a bigger issue. It's a bigger picture because way back in 2009, based on the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, it's known as GEBA. We signed on to it and we are supposed to have achieved some milestones. We made some progress, but it looks like along the line, we couldn't meet all the, 19 or so requirements. And so it's a bigger picture. It's not about Japa at all. And we are committed. Okay. We are meeting again this week to see if we can finalize it, get Parliament passed, and I'm sure it will receive presidential assent immediately. So we must work to ensure that we meet all these requirements. These are international standards that we ought to meet. And I'm sure that if we work together and build the kind of consensus we had over the weekend, we would make progress. Taken off that list.
Very well. All right. Mr. Ahiagba, finally on the blacklisting.
Yeah, I think this has happened before. The key thing about it is that there's occasion for the government to challenge that position. I think that will be done. And I don't see any conduct of our government and our people that constitute or justify that behavior, and I think that will be challenged appropriately. Okay, thank you very much. And I want to thank you both.
A correction.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry?
A correction. Yeah, the requirements. We needed to meet 16.
Right. Okay.
And then there are 16 requirements. We needed to meet 10 of them as a country.
Right.
And so we are working to meet those 10 minimum requirements. That would then qualify us.
All right. Thank you very much for that, and thank you for your time. Mr. John Jinapor is the Honourable Member of Parliament for Yape-Gusaugu, and Mr. Richard Ahiagba is the Director of the Dankwa Institute. Thank you both. God bless you both. We've got a little more time to go, and we're going to talk a little bit about the National Science and Maths quiz in just a couple of minutes.